turn mine off or on. Okay. All right. The time is 5:31 p.m. Call this meeting to order. Since we are in person and in virtual, we'll do a roll call vote. So Adam Sheely here, Stephanie Butenhoff
here,
Sue Kradowitz had a prior commitment, so she is not here tonight. Michael Saad, he also had a prior commitment and is not here tonight. Corey Beese.
here.
Okay. All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right. I am seeking a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay. And I'll make a second. Any discussion?
I actually have a couple of notes on this that I would like to say. There are two items that are on the agenda that I do not believe have enough information listed in the description so the public knows what we will be discussing. So number one is budget revisions, and the second is academic standards. The purpose of the description on an agenda is to inform interested members of the public about the subject matter under consideration so that they can determine whether to attend the meeting or participate in public comments. And I do not believe this was met. If I, as a board member, do not know what we'll be discussing tonight, I can assume a member of the public would also not know. Supplemental materials were made available this afternoon, which does not provide ample time for board members or the public to review these so they can engage in the conversation. So for these two items, I would recommend to table these until a detailed description is made on the agenda. So secondly, number 6, budget revisions is placed before public comments. And we should allow public comment before this is discussed by the board, as this has historically had public interest attached to it. So if we're still going to be talking about this item and not table it for next month, I would recommend to move it past public comments, so number 11 or below. And lastly, we had some carry forward items from last month's agenda that were not included this month. First is district communication, which we have committed to reporting on monthly and should be reporting on for continuous improvement. And secondly is masks and face coverings for the 2021-2022 school year. This has significant public interest and should not be hidden within a report. When in a report, the board cannot have discussion on the item, in-depth discussion, nor can the public participate in public comment about the item. Not only are these carry forward items, but I had also requested that they be put on the agenda. Policy states that individual board members may include items on the agenda upon concurrence of the board president, but I've never experienced this with 2.5 years on the board when an item of board business that has been requested by a board member had been denied entry on the agenda. I've attempted to resolve these concerns. However, changes have not been made to the agenda prior to this meeting. So that's why I'll be voting nay to this agenda as presented. Thank you.
So in response to your concerns, as you did state in the policy, concurrent upon the approval of the board president. So in discussion with Jack as we're putting this agenda together, it was deemed for right now the best thing to do for the face masks, because we are still collecting data. We are still, he's meeting with the other district administrators in the area. There's still too much unknown out there that we felt that it was best to put this in a community, the district administrator's report. So he will be speaking on that. It will be an item on a future agenda. I can guarantee you that as well. Budget revisions. I will I'll second that and move it after public comments. Where did you say you wanted to place that? 11 or below?
Yeah, 11 or below. I think it'd be,
Okay.
well, I don't think we have anybody in the audience tonight to review and have a public comment. But I think the lowest that we can go on the agenda would be great in case somebody wanted to come in and say something
Lowest.
about that.
Okay. Let's see. So that'd be between 15 and 16. Okay. And then we got to vote on that, correct? Right? Okay. As far as your other concerns, you may not have had, as I had stated earlier, items to be placed on the agenda are concurrent with the president. And you had stated that you have never had your items denied.
No, sorry, no, that's not true.
What did
I've
you
never
say?
experienced that at all, an item being denied
Okay.
on placement on
So,
the agenda whatsoever.
I have numerous times. So when you had requested specific items, it was just, Jack and I discussed it. And so he, or not just he, but the two of us felt that the way we are presenting this agenda would be in the best interest for everyone tonight. So, however, some of those items that you brought up or you wanted to bring up for discussion, I do feel they should be covered in a future meeting. So I guess you could say it's not 100%. For lack of a better term, 100% denial. We just, for tonight's meeting, did not feel it was in the best interest.
I totally understand that. Thank you for the response. These comments were made Friday. I didn't get a response until after the agenda was posted, so I appreciate that. I mean, the masks are a huge public interest item right now, and we've really committed to having a normal school year. And I think it's really important for everybody to be reminded of that.
Mm-hmm.
And just to know, if an item is not placed on an agenda, if anybody wanted to come here tonight and say a public comment about masks, that would not be allowable. So it being on the agenda gives our public the ability to comment and tell us what they are thinking. So by not having it on the agenda, we can't hear our public comments on masks for the 2021-2022 school year. And there's been a lot of new information that came out. So I'm kind of surprised that nobody is here tonight to discuss that since it is a huge topic. But I mean, the public interest is there.
Understandable. So I will definitely make a note of that. Okay. Okay. So I apologize. Did you make a motion to move number six, budget revisions to number 16?
I don't remember if I did, so I'll just do that right now. I'll make
Okay.
a motion to move number 6 budget revisions to number 16, just past the regular board meeting start time meeting dates.
Okay. I will second. So roll call vote. Adam, aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Sue is absent. Mike is also absent. Corey?
Aye.
Okay. So motion carried. So we will move budget revisions number 6 down to 16. So going back, so we have to go back to number 4 to approval of the agenda. So I will make a motion to approve the agenda with the corrections as presented.
I will second the motion.
Okay, since we are virtual, any discussion? Since we are virtual, we'll do a roll call vote. So Adam, aye. Stephanie?
Nay.
Sue is absent. Mike is absent. Corey?
Aye.
Okay, so motion carried 2-1. Approval, so number 5, approval of consent items. So we have minutes from last month's regular meeting and our treasurer's report and our accounts payable bills. So Susan, would you like to present the treasurer's report?
Okay, we started out the month in the general fund with $1,531,554.34 and ended up at the end of the month $1,635,846.20. With the Community State Bank cash account for payroll, we started out the month with $846,980.45 and ended up the month with $547,882.90. The building fund started out with $283,581.75 and ended up the month with $223,613.39. Petty cash started and ended the month with $500. The certificate of deposit started the month with $306,335.10 and ended the month with $306,360.52. The LGIP, which is our local government investment pool, started out the month with $12,913.63 and ended the month with $12,914.62. So our overall asset totals started out the month with $2,981,865.27 and ended the month with $2,727,117.63.
All right, thank you, Susan. Can you present the account payable bills, please?
We have expenses by vendor and expenses by check. If I can get it going. Come on. For a grand total of $2,019,747.69.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I don't have questions on those two items, but I do have one on the minutes before we move to approving this. I have a couple of edits based on my notes from the last meeting. So first would be under public comments. It's not good practice to detail public comments because residents can object to the way their comments are being portrayed on the minutes. So we should put something more general. And we do have the recordings on video, so they'll be available for posterity. But in minutes, I think a good edit would be residents expressed concern regarding masks, as well as commented on the board election results.
Okay, thank you.
And then I have another edit under 14, convening in a closed session. It was seconded by Sue. And then under number 16, adjournment, just to note the time we adjourned was 9:35 p.m. because right now that's missing.
So, okay, so you said Sue when we came into or out of closed session?
Into.
Into was by Sue. And then the time, what time did you say it was?
9:35 p.m.
Okay. All right. Okay, so help me out here to change that.
We can just I'll make a motion to approve the consent items with updates to the minutes as presented.
Okay.
I can second that motion.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay, so roll call vote. Adam, aye. Stephanie,
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried 3-0. So we are moving number 6, budget revisions, down further down the list. So number 7, president's report. So I don't have too much to present. There are a couple of just one item that I just want to make mention, hoping to bring it up. We have a couple board members who are absent today, so it'd be better if the other two are here. So we do want to schedule our board workshop, and looking at the schedule in the future, probably sometime in September, if that works for board members' schedule. August, as we discuss other things on the agenda here, is pretty darn packed. So you just have that, and then so just kind of look forward to that in the future.
Can I ask what this board workshop is surrounding?
So every year, or it should be, it's recommended every year that the board meet for a board workshop. We can work on, it could be setting goals, it could be setting just what we want to, expectations and guidelines for the upcoming school year, things like that. So I believe you had brought up in the past, you worked with WASB, correct? So utilizing them, getting together with our administration team and setting goals for the upcoming school year.
So a specific goal setting meeting. Yeah,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
perfect.
Okay.
Will we be having WASB come back to facilitate that?
I would like to. Yeah, I think that'd be beneficial for everybody.
Absolutely.
So moving on to number 8, committee report. So we did have a policy committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, July 12th. And we had discussed just a few of the current policies we're looking at to possibly update those policies, hopefully to get a little more clarification. Obviously, with the past couple of meetings, we've had different interpretations of policies. So we want to make sure that we can hopefully get a lot more clarification, make the decision and voting process and selection processes a little more fluid. So there's a few other policies that were that I had brought up to the committee. So right now we are waiting to hear back from Neola. So Jack was checking in on that, and so once we hear back, we'll probably schedule another policy committee meeting in the future.
And I can give you a little update on that. I did reach out to Scott Brown from Neola. He has been in contact with me several times, and we've kind of had some good discussions. But I know it's kind of rare for Neola to be stumped, but we did it. We were able to kind of stump them. So Scott has brought the information that we had brought forward in our policy committee to legal counsel of Neola in our local branch, as well as now moved it up to the Madison level, because he agrees that the policies in question can be interpreted multiple ways. And we did obviously interpret them multiple ways. So they are digging in deep at Neola, and will give us recommendations when they get there.
Can I ask a quick question? Sorry, I wasn't able to attend the policy meeting.
Sorry, I was just asking Adam if he minded if I added something since he's the chair of the committee. I think it's really important to note that the way that we would like to see the policies are very similar. So we have the same goal. We as a committee, I believe we know the importance of these policies and would like to see like the end result being the same. You know, we have the same thought of what they should be. So that's a huge plus. So.
Perfect. That
Thank you,
answered my
Stephanie.
question, just to make sure, because I couldn't make that meeting. So we are working towards the common goal where it'll be very much more black and white. So there's no left to interpretation.
And just to clarify
Thank you
further,
both.
the discussion is mostly around the definition of a board and a voting board. I believe all of us within the committee felt as if it should be, especially when talking about those specific policies of filling a vacancy or restructuring the board, the majority of the sitting active board, and not just those who are in attendance. So that was what our recommendation would be. I know that Neola was looking at that to add some clarification as to how to further define that.
And you know, we need to correct some things when it goes all the way to the Madison level. So anyways, all right. So any other discussion around policy committee? Okay. So number 9, district reports. So we will start with our newly minted district administrator, Mr. Jack Kamusha. Cue the
Thank
crowd
you, sir.
noise.
Thank you, sir. Yes, newly. I hope that wasn't a joke on my shirt there. Anyways, as I do my district administrator reports, I'd like to start with celebrations. The first celebration that I would like to do this month is about summer school. I know Carrie and Holly will talk a little bit further about it in their reports as well. But just being able to see the kids in the building, smiling, running around, learning, has just been joyful for me. And I know all those involved. So I just wanted to give a shout out to our staff and for an excellent summer school so far. We've got a week left. 2 weeks left. 2 weeks left. And so anyways, I wanted to just share a short piece from one of our students that he wrote during one of his lessons with Mrs. Roethlisberger, one of our school counselors. So he was asked to write a description of his perfect day. And this is quoted from our student. "My perfect day is today. I'm at an awesome school and my best friend came to school. I can't wait for gym to play group games and to have fun. ELA is one of my favorite classes because you get to read and write. Math is kind of fun too, besides the fact that we do math." But I just thought it was absolutely adorable, and just wanted to share that with the group, that students within the building describing their perfect day is with us, with our staff, learning. So thought it was a pretty neat share from Elise, and wanted to share that with you guys as a celebration for this summer. Moving on, Nexus has been in the building twice in the last few weeks. First, we had discussed with our administration team further clarification on floor plans and looking at kind of who belongs where. We've redesigned floor planning a few times now, so we're just making sure that everybody kind of has a space. Obviously, not anything in stone at this point, but just if we're going to carry this on, to make sure that the spaces are conducive, especially for Mrs. Moen and our special ed staffing and students. We had a lot of questions regarding that, and I think we really were able to work through that. So that was good. And then they came back last week to really fill me in specifically on deferred maintenance. I've been a part of a lot of the meetings thus far with Nexus, but will admit that deferred maintenance maybe has not been something that I've really been involved in or really know. So they have continuously worked hard with me to figure out what those priorities are, so that when I get questions and when the staff comes to me, when the community comes to me, I can help better explain that. Things about boilers and roofs and windows and all of those things, which I think we would all agree are probably on the very top of our priority list when looking at a facilities referendum. So that was very very good for me, so that I can continue to learn about that and share those news with those that have questions. Our next steps, we're working on it a little bit this afternoon, is they are going to help present a 10 slide snapshot of kind of where we are in the process. And then I will do a voiceover describing some of the things that I had just spoke of, describing a little bit about the floor plan, talking about priorities within deferred maintenance, so that when we present that to staff in the commercial form, if you will, they will allow, then there will be a platform, there will be able to give feedback to us, so that when Nexus comes back August 22nd, 23rd for our in-service day, they will be able to take that feedback and address it with staff. So that would be the next steps there, is to continue to get feedback. And then I know we have a later agenda item of possibly moving board meetings. However, I have a date set with them for August 25th, which would tentatively be our next board meeting. So I would just recommend or ask the board if we could leave that date. They are planning on presenting to the staff August 23rd, and then presenting to us all August 25th, 2 days later, as to what they found and what the feedback was from the staff. So that's where we are as far as next steps with Nexus. A few building updates. I know you guys could probably see the stack of foam and shingles and things over here. Carlson will be on site beginning Friday, August 6th. They will be doing the vacuuming of all of the gravel and stone, which is on the roof here on the elementary side. They will do that on Friday, so we are not in session for summer school. I asked them specifically to wait till either Friday or the afternoon, because I don't know if any of you have ever seen one of those large vacuums, but they are extremely loud. So if you guys are in the building on August 6th, that's what the loud noising will be. And then the following Monday on the 9th, they will actually start the roofing project. So we are there with that. The Asphalt Contractors, Inc. Will be repairing the 45 lot on the week of August 16th. I know we had some discussion about that as well, talking about possibly doing a complete overhaul like we did on the main office or elementary side lot. However, we have decided to just do the crack filling and some of those kind of minor maintenance things to get us by, in hopes that we do have a referendum and some construction going on that side of the building shortly enough, which would end up tearing a lot of that parking lot up to begin with. So that is more of a quick kind of temporary fix, but that will be happening on the 45 side on August 16th through probably the 18th or 19th. So that lot will be shut down for all of you band parents especially. And I know Tony will talk a little bit more about the switches and the switch replacement coming up, but that is also scheduled for the week of August 16th. There will be intermittent outages or extended outages during that time in different parts of the building as those switches get replaced. So those are just some building updates. Lastly, I know we had mentioned about this portion of my report, and first of all, I just want to say that I didn't put this in my report as in order to hide it. I really didn't. This is the first agenda that I've built on my own, and working with the board for that. So I did not have any sort of motive to hide this. I felt that we weren't going to take action on it tonight, so I wanted to just present to the board what the conversation was yesterday with our area district administrators. And then I would just like to report those things and then look to collaborate with you all moving forward as we make these difficult decisions. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So the first thing I would like to collaborate on would be the family survey. I think that is an important piece. I know we had talked about that being in registration, but I am open, and I've spoken to Ale about this as well. But we would like to collaborate with that and see if that would be something that we want to include on the registration form, which should open at the end of next week, or if we want to do a specific survey that is just derived around COVID response and face coverings. So that is obviously something that we're thinking of. I believe that registration would probably be a good place to hit most families. However, we all know that the time period that registration is open is usually extended, and some of this information might be more urgent than that. So that's the first one. Second, in the majority of our discussion yesterday with the area district administrators was looking at wording of things and specific language. There is a big difference between the word mandatory, required, versus recommended versus optional. Currently, there are different districts that are doing all of the above. Whether we create that, it's just something to note as we continue to collaborate, is that language means a lot. So we need to specifically figure out what we want to say and why we want to say it, because that the community is going to hold us to that, and they should. That goes for not only face coverings, but also things like close contact quarantine. Are we going to look at somebody who was, obviously we're going to have positives. It's just a reality of the game we're playing here. But within that, what does the language look like when there is a close contact to that positive? Are we going to, again, make it mandatory quarantine? Are we going to inform families that they were a close contact and allow them to make the decision and monitor symptoms? Or are we just going to make it optional that they come to school? So those are things that I obviously have been bouncing around in my head constantly and have been thinking about, but also just wanted to make you all aware that your collaboration and feedback on that is much appreciated.
Have any of the surrounding schools made any formal decisions regarding mask or whatnot? And if you know those, would you mind sharing those decisions?
Sure. I'll just get through the last few, Corey. Well, the last two are one is the social distance and sanitation guidelines. Obviously, if there was a recommendation, I think it's just good practice, period, to be clean and to try to maintain social distancing when we can. So that's something that I just wanted to make you guys aware of, that, I don't see us stopping anything like that. But we do have conversations to make, conversations to have in regards to what does cafeteria look like? What does playground look like? What do gym class look like? Those type of things that, again, are going to be extremely important when deciding where we're going to go moving forward. Lastly, public transportation and a CDC mandate is still in effect. CDC mandated all public transportation. There is a mask mandate on that. Currently, because we pay Dousman with public funding, that mandate would affect us. The question then becomes, at what level do we want to enforce that within our school building? Is that a school disciplinary issue where if a student or a family chooses that they are not going to follow that recommendation of the CDC on the bus, how would we handle that? So that is currently in effect. Again, the question becomes then, how do we handle that as a school building? I know I'm throwing a lot of questions at you, but these are the questions that I'm getting and the questions that I came back with yesterday. So I just wanted to be transparent about that and let you guys know that that's where I am, what I'm thinking about, and would most definitely, encourage collaboration on those. What I'm going to recommend tonight is a special board meeting the week of August 9th, which gives us another week. And I'm honestly okay waiting a little while, just because I know we've all read the news and we've all seen it every day. Things are literally changing by the hour. Different school districts are making different decisions. Corey, to your point, so I also don't want to make this a last minute decision that we're popping on families. So I feel like it would be beneficial for us to have a special board meeting, possibly August 11th or somewhere in that area of the week of August 9th. So that would be my current recommendation to you. And to answer your question, Corey, we did, Salem had their board meeting last night. They have, as far as face coverings are concerned, I don't know all of the details as far as their complete report was, but they chose to use the word optional. Riverview in Silver Lake had their board meeting on Monday night, and they also chose to use the word optional. Neenah School District and Neenah School District went last night and chose optional with a possibility of, they chose a percentage they chose a number of cases to where then it would become mandated if within the building they were exceeding that number of cases. So they chose the word optional to begin with and said that they would then had the board had the ability to mandate if it got above a certain number of cases. There was and I don't know how they defined outbreak, but they did define it. Sheboygan decided to use the word recommend in theirs. And I know Milwaukee Public Schools at this point is fully masked going into the fall. They are mandating and making it mandatory for all students. Those are the ones that I've currently read about. I'm sure there are many others, but those are the ones that I just know of personally. That concludes my report, and I'll take questions if you have them.
I was going to say, I think a special board meeting would be wonderful to discuss this. I mean, since we can't fully discuss tonight.
Yeah.
I know we've committed to having a normal year for sure. And we've talked about this in prior meetings. It's a normal year, except we're still doing all the sanitation. It's a normal year, except what? And just letting parents know and teachers know what is going to be enforced. Like you were just talking about what to expect. I think that having a special meeting is exactly what we need to do. And the sooner we can get answers to everyone, the better. We can discuss that survey, but having it attached to registration does bring those problems. Because I know we had to extend, I think, twice last year registration. So maybe having a separate survey out there that's not solely attached to registration would be a good idea.
And there's obviously pluses and minuses to both. There's no obligation to do a survey if we just send an individual survey out. There is, however, obligation to do registration paperwork. So there, as all the parents start nodding their head, right? So there, I mean, as far as numbers are concerned, we've had prior success attaching it to a registration. But again, it brings up the question of, if we're going to have the bulk of our families registering at the end of August, that's too late for us to use that data effectively.
Is there any way where we could put on the survey like a caveat of the board plans to meet by this date with the preliminary findings? That way folks may be a little bit more amped to, well, they might not finalize their registration. That survey piece of the registration may be filled out.
Yeah, and I know that the end of this week was the goal for opening of registration. Yeah, I'll have to talk to Ali about that. Those are good questions, and I think that we can come up with a good plan for that. The wording is going to be important, so that's something that I know I will include. I know I give you guys the Friday update. I will continue to do that, but I will maybe send a couple draft questions or something along those lines with our Friday update this week, and then again we'll gladly accept feedback and collaboration.
And I agree with you. The wording is going to be very important, but it's also very important for us to define exactly what you said: mandate versus optional versus recommended, because some folks may define that 3 different ways. I mean, our policies, we all defined twice ourselves. So to make that very black and white within the survey, I think is going to be very important, so we can make sure that as folks are choosing their survey results, we're being transparent. And so they can say, well, I didn't interpret it that way.
100% agree.
Just one more thing to add. I'm not sure if you saw like the CDC, the new guidelines that came out, but they have a chart of spreading, right? So Kenosha County isn't even on the list of needing masks indoors as far as the Delta variant is spreading. So I think that's really important to watch is how is it doing locally, not just nationally.
I 100% agree with you because
Yeah.
where there might be Milwaukee or something like that, and even though it's close, and I'm not saying I haven't looked at the graph stuff, so Milwaukee may not even be on it either, but Milwaukee has a different area and different population than we do, and I think it's very important to look at our home base. So that's a really good point.
All right, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. All right, moving on to business manager report. Susan?
I'm going to make this pretty short. I was going to give some type of an update on the ESSER funds that we're going to receive for ESSER 3. However, the legislators are still batting that back and forth. They approved a bare bones budget, which means no increase to the revenue limit whatsoever. That really doesn't help school districts out with normal normal costs. However, you'll find out next month or later down in this agenda here that we did very well ending this school year. We haven't had the auditors in yet. They will be in next week to do some other type of adjustments. But we finished off the year very well going into next year. So talk more about that later. True Time, we have set up and started True Time through Skyward. This is the Skyward's time card system that replaces Frontline. I've had really great feedback from everybody that's used it. We've used a tester group of about 15 people. Thank you to Ali, Ibrahim, and Tony for helping set it all up. We do have the time clocks in. They're just not attached technology-wise to Skyward yet. So those are coming. Those make it even easier than going through employee access. So the staff that is using it is like, really, I just push in, I just push gone, I just push submit. It's that simple. It's very simple. It's tied into Skyward, so it's really nice. Still getting the kinks out of it, but should have it all set for the new year. So nice and short.
Thank you, Susan. All right, principal report. So Holly is joining us virtually. I believe she's still on here. So if Holly would like to present.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Shealy.
She just looks like she just got booted. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. That's what was going through my mind was, she gone. All right. Looks like she's back. All right, Holly.
I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me? So a couple things to report on. I'm here. Thank you for giving me the time to speak. First off, I want to thank the staff for helping out with finishing up with the hiring. We do have a few loose ends to tie up, but we're pretty good and fully staffed for this year. Secondly, I want to thank Lou Gilmore and his building crew. We have such great work that has been done from the facility standpoint. Wood chips are in, the playground's looking sharp. I'm just really, happy to see the progress and the cleanliness of the building and thank you to Lou and everyone else. And then as far as the interventionists and Mrs. Houston and Mr. Koshel, I just want to thank you guys for the time that we have done together. I have a lot of exciting things that I want to report on. Obviously, there's some things that we need to determine as far as masks, but we are in a really great spot as far as this school year. And thank you to the people that worked hand in hand with me to get me to a good point. With that being said, we're working on room assignments. As you guys have seen, we've had a lot of people that we've welcomed. So, cleaning up the rooms and making sure staff is getting shuffled in, and staff has been in the building a lot. So thank you, staff, for continuing to stop in and say hi. It's nice to see you. Second thing is I'm happy to say that everything is locked in as far as the master schedule. Parents may be anxious to look in Skyward, but I will say we will, as a district, notify all the parents when everything is locked in and ready to go. So I know specific requests are coming in at this time. We have offered that opportunity for requests for specific teachers way back in February and March. And right now I would hope that everyone would honor our time to finalize it so we can release the master schedule in August and send out an automated message to the families so they can look at that and peek at that. But we're in a good spot. So I'm excited for that. And I want to thank Kim Rudolph for all of her work on that. Next thing is we have an in-service agenda that is already done for new teachers and all staff. It's great. It's packed. We are doing a lot of work with Solution Tree, and thank you for the support with that as we work towards PLCs. I know many local schools are working on the PLCs, but we're really getting back to the basics as far as our standards go. And that's the work that the teachers are going to be rolling up their sleeves and doing. So the 23rd, 24th, and 25th are already done. We have our in-service schedule done, and as well as the 19th and 20th with our new teachers. With that being said, we just got Forward results in. So Forward is the big measure. That's the state test that tells us how successful we are as a school on the school report card. Those results will be sent out to families as soon as we figure out our delivery method. But with that being said, I've worked hard with our interventionists and our instructional leadership team to already set our goals for next year. So our academic goals are already set. We have our literacy, numeracy, and we're still working on how we're going to measure our culture goal, but we already have our goals set based on our MAP testing as well as our Forward. And then that will trickle down into classroom and teacher goals that we'll work through in the evaluation process. With that being said, we already hashed out our testing schedule, so we want to see how our kids progress throughout the year. So our testing schedule is done, as well as our PD calendar. We have a really good skeleton, and Solution Tree, again, will be netting us through the process and needling us through the PLC process throughout the year. And then the last thing that I just want to share is I want to thank the PTO for their time as well. I spent a lot of time with them this summer planning out the year with exciting events and just getting everything on the calendar. Thank you to the PTO for continuing to have that partnership with us. I look forward to this year. And with that being said, if you guys have any questions, fire away.
I think we are good. So thank you, Holly. Moving on to our newly minted, not wearing a green shirt, Associate Principal Report, Carrie Houston's.
Thank you. I would like to start out by saying thank you to this group as well as all of the Bristol school staff that has warmly welcomed me into this community. Everyone has just been so gracious and wonderful in helping me feel at ease and at home. So I appreciate that greatly. Wanted to just give a quick update regarding summer school. As Mr. Musha shared earlier, we have had a lot of great feedback from families and lots of smiling faces from our students coming every day and enjoying summer school. We have 105 students who are enrolled, and the success of summer school is in part, in a great deal in part, from the coordination of Mr. Kashal and our dedicated teachers, the aides, and our food service and secretarial staff have just made it run so smoothly. And so I just want to say thank you to that team for really making magic happen with the summer school program. I also want to share that we did have a field trip to the Pringle Nature Center yesterday and today with our summer school students, which it's been the first field trip that we've had in a very long time because of COVID. And so that was just a really nice change of pace to get the little kiddos on bus and getting over there and exploring nature a little bit. And so they had a lot of fun. And so looking forward to possibly having some more field trips in the future, depending on what everything looks like. Mr. Kashal and I have also been working on updating the student handbook, which will be ready to be deployed as a part of the registration process. As Ms. Graff said, we've been working with the intervention team and the leadership team on getting the testing schedule set. And so that's all ready to go for this year. And we're really looking forward to the in-service days with our teaching staff and the orientation for our new staff coming up in a couple weeks as well.
Any questions? Good. Okay. Thank you. All right. Moving on to Network Administrator Report, Tony Green.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm gonna throw a wrench in this here. I can't believe nobody else has done a presentation tonight. So I'm doing a presentation. I can't let you guys get out of here without looking at some slides. So I'm gonna be the odd man out here tonight. So I'm gonna go ahead and present here really quick. Yeah, we over-explain everything and then apologize later for the over-explanation. Absolutely, yep. In the meantime, people's eyes glaze over. We don't understand what you're saying. So, so I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about our switches and our data closets, where we've come from and where we're going. But before I even start doing that, I want to touch on the kiosks, the TrueTime kiosks. Sue had mentioned that they haven't been joined to the network yet. That's absolutely accurate. We've sent the IP addresses of those devices to IS Corp, so that IS Corp knows to let that traffic through their firewall. And then once that takes place, we can move on to the second phase or third phase of deployment and make sure that our employees are enrolled, make sure that the scanner's working correctly. And we'll probably do that in small batches. We'll probably start out doing that with a smoke test, 15, 20 employees, and then where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So we'll look for those little hangups here and there, and then hopefully have a full-blown system ready for deployment by the start of the school year. Our absolute goal is to have it ready by the beginning of the school year. So the switch update, where we're at with that. We are going to start that pretty soon, but I wanted to review real quick where we came from. A picture is 1,000 words. So last year in 2020, we didn't get a chance to talk about this too much because we were running around trying to recover from COVID, but we had to do a switch cleanup, a switch closet cleanup. And so I have some pictures here. This is actually our 6-8 closet before the cleanup. And you can see that there's just a bunch of spaghetti in there. We have appliances that aren't properly air gapped. We have
For the non-techies in the room, what's 6-8?
Oh, it's in so it's a sensitive area. We're not going to disclose. Honestly, it's a sensitive area. We won't disclose the closet location, the building, but it's what we call a distribution closet. And so that's where we house a lot of our appliances. There might be a server in there. So it's a sensitive area. It's access controlled. But it houses a lot of the switches and the things that you see there with all the wires. On the middle picture, you'll see a patch panel that's mounted to the wall. That's not industry standard, really. It should be racked. And then the last picture actually shows our server. And that is essentially a desktop that's been converted into a server, and it was running 2007 Windows Server 2007. So that is the 6-8 closet. Then we have the 6th grade closet. This runs the middle school wing of the building. You can see there it's kind of more of the same wall-mounted patch panels. That's that black box up there with all the cables coming out. The cables are color coded, so that's kind of nice. The appliances are stacked on top of each other, and these are some of the things we're fixing with the wire racking. What this closet had was a really nice service coil. On the picture on the far right, you'll see that that blue and white coil of cables. So that made our job a lot easier to correct that and put in industry standard equipment in there. The K3 closet, which ran our primary grade level, you can see there that we have a ton of cabling there. This is the oldest closet in the building. A lot of this was installed before like there was a lot of engineering, a lot of effort put into pulling cable and managing cable. They just didn't know how big data was going to become in schools. This closet I had the least amount of hope for because we did not have a service coil of any kind in the ceiling. You can see the ceiling tiles down there are falling in the center picture. It's because the cables are pulling on them. So this one was probably the least, I would have been happy just to get them racked, get the equipment racked and on so it's not stacked. Where we're at now, so this project wrapped up on August 6th of last year. We wrapped this up right before school started. This is the 6-8 lab. We took that racking out of there, and honestly, there's only one picture because we're not completely done with it because we still have other switches to go in there, which is in phase 2. But you can see here, it's much neater. It's got better cable management. The patch panels are in the racks where they belong. We have proper housing for the optic fiber up there at the very top. The fiber that's coming in the building's properly housed and shielded. So there's a lot of improvements there. We have the 6th grade closet. We can see that this is much cleaner. It's a much cleaner look. We have everything properly racked, air gapped, and patched, punched down, all that fun stuff. And it just looks much neater. Not only that, there's a water main in here. So just about everything's mounted. So if the water main were to break, this would still remain functional. It wouldn't be blown out of the water there. It would be safe from any kind of flooding. So we had to take that into account. I don't know why we put that was originally located there in a water main, but we work with what we got. And then this is the K3 closet, and this one probably turned out the best out of all 3 of them. All the work was fantastic. The company that did this for us was CCI. They did a fantastic job, but this one really surprised me. We have a 4-post rack there, which has made way for a server and allows us to do things like battery backups, really allows for that future proofing that we need here as we look at the virtual era of academics. So we're poised in terms of our physical ability to mount an ever expanding infrastructure. So that's those. So phase 2 brings us to what we're about to embark on. And phase 2 is going to start here like August 16th after summer school lets out. Old versus new. Okay. So the picture on the left is a Meraki MS350. It's a new standard for switches. It's the newest protocols. They're really great switches. On the right is what we had before. That's a chassis style switch. All those modules there are housed in one chassis. And so that's the old ProCurve. And that's what we're getting rid of. The HP ProCurve is just antiquated. Those switches are antiquated. They're becoming unstable as the firmware ages. This creates latency. It slows down the network substantially. Susan's over there laughing because she knows what I'm coming up to next. Rolling service disruptions. And on August 4th, we suffered a massive power outage here at Bristol. And we were kind of limping along from April 4th, all the way through to the end of the year. Because we were having, we had this massive outage. We were having these rolling outages. We call it flapping. So every once in a while, our network would shut down and we'd have no internet, no nothing for about a minute. So for about a minute, there'd be no service and then would just come back up. And we couldn't trace it down because we're not seeing the flapping on the internet service. They're not showing a disruption of service. And what it really boiled down to is we didn't have access, administrative access to the HP ProCurves because they're so old. And so we couldn't utilize the tools within those switches to troubleshoot. And doing so would require downtime that was worse than the flapping. So we'd have students in the building and we'd be down for an hour or two, and so that was kind of, we had to pick our time to fix that. So the Meraki MS350s are the new standard. It gives us a singular administrative dashboard. We can use it with all of our other ones. They talk to each other. We know what's going on. What's happening on one switch might impact another switch. We can diagnose that. Improved security protocols, improved tech support, and improved bandwidth that decreases latency for our students. As we move to go one-to-one, decreased latency is just vital. So it's just really, really important. So this project start date is the 16th, and we're planning to end on the 20th. We plan to be down during this time in different wings. We try to mitigate the downtime. We don't want the entire school to be down. So This is kind of currently what we got going on. It's a schematic real quick. We had a singular UPS tied to our backbone switch. And when that UPS failed during the power outage, that caused the backbone switch to the power supply on there to fail. And when that started to fail, it was intermittently failing, and that caused the flapping on the switch. And when that backbone switch, which talks to these, what we call iSCSIs, it means Internet Small Computer System Interface. It's so these little backbone switches here that are in our different closets. When this flapped, these flapped, and that caused the outage. But we couldn't diagnose it because we didn't have access to this switch here. There's no redundancy on this switch either. So another big advantage to our switch upgrade is that our new system, our new schematic is going to look like this, where we have 2 independent power supplies running a newer Meraki switch with dual power plugs. So should one of those power plugs start to fail, the other one just takes over, and we do not have that flapping, and so there's redundancy built in, and that's how it should be structured. So that's what we're doing with that. Sort of, yeah. I mean, you're still only going to get 10 to 12 minutes, maybe 15 minutes of battery backup time. What this enables us to do, as soon as we get the power outage, we can properly shut that backbone switch down, and send that signal to the iSCSI, and that way we don't have to go in and fix errors later. Because if they don't shut down in sequence, we can have huge problems. So it's important they shut down in sequence. So that just buys us time to make sure that we get them shut down in that time. So yeah, I think yes, I got through it. All right, that's all I got for this one. I'll take questions on the Switch project if you guys want. If you guys have any for me, so. No?
Tony, I do not have any questions, but I do remember the chaos. So thank you for fixing it. And I know Susan is very grateful, and LA and probably everybody here that uses the internet, and for your own sanity.
Yes.
I know you've been trying to fix it. So thank you very much.
But it's tough to tell people, like, you know what, sometimes the medicine's worse than the symptoms at this time, and so it's hard. People don't understand that, and so it was rough there for a while, but we got it fixed now. So
such a fun name for such a not fun experience.
Yeah.
All right, anything else for Tony? Okay, thank you, Tony. Thank you all to those of you who gave your reports. I do want to say one thing. I do appreciate how our administration and staff recognizes each other and their hard work. So as one of the things, as a teacher, I like to be recognized for stuff that I do. And so I think it's great to hear administration and even board members and the staff just complimenting each other. So, all right, moving on to number 10, public comments.
So I do want to just call out, because I know on the agenda, Stephanie had said prior to that a public comment cannot be made unless it's on the agenda, but I may have misunderstood you.
I misunderstood the policy also.
Yeah.
After I said that, I looked it up, and I definitely misunderstood that.
Yeah.
I misread it. So the policy says anyone having a legitimate interest in the actions of the board, and that's in my head I saw action item.
All good.
So thank you for calling it out.
So for future people, hopefully, who will come and may fill these beautiful seats that are sitting empty in front of me, you can absolutely come in, and you will be allotted a 3-minute time period. But you can absolutely come in and bring forward any comments or concerns to the board. We may not be able to take action on them unless it is an agenda item, but please, please, please come forward and bring any and all concerns or comments to the board. We would love to see shining faces and smiles in front of me instead of the red and black chairs.
Sorry. Yeah, right.
Sorry, Mr. Cashel.
Yeah. No offense to Mr. Cashel.
He's not a Bristol resident.
So if
He is smiling though, so that's good. He is smiling. So.
If I can add to that, so on the BOE website, if you hover over home, you can go down to BOE communication. And under that, there's a public comments policy. So the policy is really easy to find. There's a button to click on, and it brings you straight to the policy, and it will give you the parameters and rules about the public comment section of the meeting. It's very simple, and I know we have a lot of stuff coming up, and it's really important to hear what people have to say. And I know that public comments are used, right? And that's a great thing. But also email us, because we don't know what's going on unless you tell us. So 100%, absolutely.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, since y'all said
As long as it
took number
pertains to
10 for
board
me.
business.
Yeah.
Add that.
So there's nobody here for public comments. We'll move on to number 11, academic standards. So Jack, and this will be for the 2021-2022 school year. So Jack,
Correct.
present that to us, please.
Sure. So in accordance with State Statute 120.1213, at the board meeting in July, the board shall include an item on the agenda to approve a notice that clearly identifies the student academic standards that will be in effect for the following school year. Wisconsin academic standards specify what students should know and be able to do in the classroom. They serve as goals for teaching and learning. We must ensure that all children have equal access to high quality education programs. Clear statements about what students must know and be able to do are essential in making sure our schools offer opportunities to get the knowledge and skills necessary for the success beyond the classroom. Is just a kind of a quick snippet from the Wisconsin Academic State Standards. I know I linked them all to you. It's quite a bit of standards from kindergarten all the way through 12 for every subject matter possible. I don't want to speak for everybody, but we are using, we have always used the Wisconsin State Academic Standards and would like to continue to do that. The process is rather intensive. The State Superintendent Academic Standards Review Council begins and creates that, and there is I believe a 5-year rotation, or at least they've started a 5-year rotation as to how all of those academic standards are reviewed. That then comes to the State Superintendent Academic Standard Review Council, then brings that to public for review, gets feedback. They then look over it again and bring that to the state superintendent, who then determines the adoption of the standards. So I guess with all that being said, it would be my recommendation to accept the Wisconsin Academic Standards for 2021-22 school year as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2021-2022 student academic standards as presented.
I will second her motion.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I think it's important to note, so we have these student academic standards, correct? And then we also have our Bristol Power Standards, and those are different. Bristol Power Standards are for Bristol students, like above and beyond what our students should know. I just wanted to make sure people understand the difference between the two.
Yeah, correct. And good. Thank you for bringing that up, Stephanie. So the way, as you guys can all attest, there was hundreds and hundreds of pages of standards that are shared on the DPI website. What the process does when you create an essential or power standard, everybody kind of has a little bit of a different, but as a staff, what we would do is then we would dig into all of those standards and really clarify for our students here at Bristol as to what we feel is essential. And once we have created those essential standards for our building, then that would drive our lesson planning and instruction specifically through those power standards. So that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. As you notice, it would be impossible to thoroughly instruct to all of those standards that are on the site there. So.
Okay, thank you, Jack. So Stephanie made a motion to approve the 2021-2022, lots of 20s, academic standards. So, seconded by Corey. So since we're virtual, roll call vote. Adam, aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
And Corey?
Aye.
Okay, so motion carried 3-0. All right, everybody's favorite, number 12, the milk bid.
Yes, the famous milk bids. So this year we have received one bid from Prairie Farms. Prairie Farms is based out of Rockford, Illinois. They've been with us for a long time and have treated us fairly. The way that they do it is they look at the Central Milk Procedures Cooperative, which sets a price, and then like everything else, they put their spin on it as a farm and as a business. And I know that just reviewing myself from the numbers, there was quite a bit of an increase. However, the milk industry, just like almost all industries, took a large hit in COVID, and our prices from 1920 to 2021 actually went down considerably. So the increase is more from 1920 than it was from last year, if that makes sense. So I guess my recommendation at this time would be to accept the milk bid from Prairie Farms as presented.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the milk bid from Prairie Farms as presented.
I'll second that. Jack, do you have a price on the milk bid? Yeah. Oh,
So they do it per half
oh,
pint.
gotcha. Okay. It's here, right here. It's that one. So it's not like a total price. I have to say, I'm disappointed there's no strawberry milk on there.
Yeah, they do present 1% chocolate this year though, which was USD waiver approved. So we do have an option for 1% chocolate instead of just fat-free chocolate milk. So I'm guessing that will be a popular choice.
All right.
I do have a question about the price increase. Will this increase the price for parents or affect the district's budget in any way? Or this is all covered by the SOS, right?
The summer seamless option milk comes with the meals, so it's not going to affect that whatsoever. If people want to purchase an additional milk, we've already set the price so that we're still okay. And the price that we've had has been fine for years and it's still okay. So we're good.
Thanks, Susan.
All right, if there's no other discussion, so we'll take a roll call vote. Adam, aye. Stephanie,
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed 3-0. Number 13, microphones for regular board meetings. So Jack, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so we've discussed, I know at length, in the different formats of which we can broadcast and stream our board meetings. When speaking with Tony, and I'll obviously let him explain it a little bit further, as long as he doesn't use the word "I scuzzy" anymore. I think we. But no, in all seriousness, we've had some discussion about how we've looked at Google. We've looked at the Google platform, and then we are transferring the information that we're putting through from Google onto YouTube. And the more steps that we have, the more that can go wrong. So it is our hope and intention in asking Tony what would be the easiest way to do it. We have the equipment in house to physically video the meetings, and the best way to record audio or to capture audio from that is to have a actual mic system that would be linked into our video system, which would then remove a few steps from the process. So the bid the link that I had attached to the board in your folders was a suggestion to go ahead and acquire those mics that would allow us to then communicate directly with our video feed, so that it would be removing a step in the headphones and the Google Meet and all of those type of things that would A, give us a better product, and B, make it easier for our tech department. Tony, did you have something to add to that?
So that means I have to do.
Tony, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm getting messages that we've lost sound from your end. Yeah, I know that's kind of ironic, but I just got a few messages that they're online are not able to hear you currently.
Okay, there we go. How about now? End user failure right there. So you guys, we should just, should I motion or no? So sorry. So yeah, again, that just, I actually just bumped my little mute button with my pant leg here and against the thing. So anything can happen during a live broadcast. And so up in the physical layer, then I have to put the Google Meet on one screen, the open broadcast software on the middle screen, and then on the screen 3 there, on the third screen is the YouTube live stream preview. But then you toss in there the need to do something like our Promethean board here. That's another layer of physical layer that we have to manage along with the Google Meet. That's why we need 2, sometimes 3 people to run these things. But then you have the broadcast layer, which is YouTube, and something can go wrong there as well. So it's actually, there's a lot of gears in there. And if any one of them are slightly off, we have a huge problem. And then we have very little time to fix it. So the new system would actually just streamline that whole thing. We'd have a physical layer like that you see here. 8 microphones go into an audio collection appliance. Those go into our audio capture card, goes into the computer. The computer runs OBS. OBS talks to YouTube. It's really that easy. So the camera is wirelessly run to a video capture card that we have in-house. So it wirelessly beams. There's not wires running across the floor for people to trip on. The image is captured to the camera, transmitted to the video capture card, goes in the laptop. OBS syncs everything, and that's how easy it becomes. I would recommend that we purchase 2 sets of 8 because they come in sets of 8. Purchase 2 sets of 8 microphones. Let me go on here. You would purchase 2 sets of those Pyle PDWM 8300s. And just a gator case to keep them in good shape so they don't get beat up. The gator case is worth its, is worth it to keep those things functional and nice. So the total cost would be $754.89. So,
I noticed on the one link it said that the microphones were back ordered. Is that like the standardized price, like the $300 for the mics?
That's kind of close. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you can find them. It depends. You might catch a sale. You might catch them for like $250 somewhere.
Okay.
But right now, because the chip shortage is everything.
Oh, I'm
is-
sure.
Yeah, we're waiting on everything.
Yes.
So,
To provide a little more history on this, yeah, this is something that Tony has been looking at for a while, for sure. I know it's something that we have been working towards using the camera that we purchased. And then now that we have that sound card in, I mean, you used it for graduation, the 4K and 8th grade graduations flawlessly. It was really awesome. So this was the next step to making these meetings virtual. And you've had your eye on these for a little bit. So I'm happy to see these on the agenda.
yeah, and actually they serve more than just board meetings. They can serve any kind of public speaking event because they are standard audio equipment. So graduation, instead of having the mic stand up there, which is this ugly metal thing, we can just put a podium mic up and the person can just go up there and have a gooseneck podium mic. And so anytime there's presenters or anything like that, we can use it at that time as well. Yeah. Thank you.
So I will go ahead and make a motion to approve. Actually, Susan, would we have to purchase this using board funds?
You could if you wanted. Otherwise, we could even consider that ESSER funds because this puts us more into a virtual area.
Oh,
Do you know if
It's
we
not that much money. I think we'd be fine no matter where we took it out of.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I know we have money left in our board funds that I don't think we'll be using for this year unless something randomly comes up. But
Well, we're done with 2021.
right,
Yeah.
right. But like conferences and I mean, I don't think that that's going to be a thing this year with COVID again. But all right, so I'll just go ahead and make a motion to approve microphones for regular board meetings with the Gator case for a total of $754.89.
I will second that. All right. Any other discussion? Okay. So roll call vote. Adam, aye. Stephanie,
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Motion carried 3-0. All right. This brings us to number 14, extracurricular stipends. So Jack, if you want to present that, please.
Yeah, I was able to share. It was this afternoon, so I do apologize. The first one I had that I shared with you guys was the color coded one that was. It didn't have any sort of increase in the one I introduced this afternoon. Was a chart that said salary and then it said 10% next to it. I don't know if that's in the folder, but if not, I do have hard copies, but ultimately the goal of putting this on the agenda for today was to bring forward the extracurricular stipends. There has not been an increase to any of the extracurricular stipends since 2014. So just looking at them, we are still actually rather competitive with extracurricular assignments around the area. But I felt like it was time for some additional compensation for our coaches and extracurricular leaders. So my recommendation for tonight would be to go ahead and increase our extracurricular stipend fund 10%. Because it has been 7 years since we've increased it. We have a total of $31,085 that we are regularly spending on a non-COVID year for coaches and extracurricular supervisors. That would increase by $3,556.12 for a total of $34,193.50. So, for example, a stipend of $500 would increase to $550, $200 to $220. Obviously, you guys know how to do math, so I won't go through the list, but that's the gist of it.
So, was it last spring we had revised? Was it parts of the? I think it was parts of the.
Our previous business manager.
Okay.
Was working on a spreadsheet. I'm not sure if you even know that it existed, Susan. But they were working on a spreadsheet, and it was supposed to head to the compensation committee. Yes, the fees are. Like a 10% increase would be great, wonderful. But there are some inconsistencies in payments. You can pull a few of these out. I mean, it's just. So what our previous business manager was looking for was to know how much time was put into each item. And then, I mean, not even just time, but I guess effort, I guess you could say, like face-to-face time with kids, setting up for things, just to pull out an item, Battle of the Books. That's a huge time-consuming, lengthy club. Activity, whatever you want to call it, but it's $375. Like that's even with a 10% increase. Looking at some of the other payments, it just seems off. So that's what was happening. I think it was last spring or last winter that she was bringing this forward. Last spring, Susan was here, so it must have been.
I think it
about
was
a year ago.
We were looking at revising the stipends for everybody because we felt like they were essentially underpaid.
Yeah,
so,
well, it looks like
but we revised. We did. I think we revised a couple. I think, and the other issue that we had was we weren't exactly in good financial order at the time, I believe, when it was brought up. So I believe Dr. Mills had picked a couple of different ones. It's, well, if you're not going to make changes to the whole schedule, at least look at these. I don't know what it was, 2 or 3 stipends for extracurricular activities.
I don't think we made any adjustments to them, though.
I'm pretty sure we did. Was it athletic director?
So what would be the outcome if we were not to approve this tonight?
I would
Would
just
we-
stay the same at this point.
So we could revisit.
We could
like, with
revisit,
another-
yeah, and I'm all for that. I was just trying to get some increase because for me there hasn't been, at least from the people that I have talked to who have been around long enough to not know that. I will say, just from my coaching experience and experience in lots of extracurriculars throughout my lifetime, it becomes very, very difficult to gauge. And is almost a year-round process to try to figure out how much time somebody spends on a specific activity. I know we are talking about mostly middle school activities or younger, but when you're talking about things like open gyms or banquets or meetings that might not be directly related to face-to-face time with kids, but I know we've all, try to set up an end of the year banquet or, have those type of specific, just planning a schedule, planning a practice schedule, staying here, 3 or 45 minutes after practice is done because of a student hasn't been picked up. All of those little things that go into it. I think coaches understand that when they do get into coaching. So I just wanted to, caution the fact that it becomes very difficult to put an hourly wage to a time commitment of an extracurricular activity. So that, I guess, would just be my caution with that.
And what if we were?
Hold on. So Holly raised her hand, so let's have her speak first, and then we can.
Oh, okay.
I just want to ask a few questions. Last year, we didn't have a lot of athletics, so did that, for budget purposes, Jack, obviously, that's a budget that you're mindful of, but two, because we didn't have a lot of sports from last year. I'm all in favor of obviously making sure we take care of our coaches, but I do know also that we pretty much have our coaching staff filled for this year. So I wanted to just throw that out there. One, do we have extra money from last year? Did that roll over from the athletics to maybe cover some of this? Obviously, we need to continue to be fiscally responsible as a district, which, I know we're all committed to doing that. But then two, are we in a position where we don't have coaches for this year in order to get through the seasons because of the salary? Those are just some questions I had out there.
Thank you, Holly. Go ahead, Corey.
And it's not that I'm saying that we shouldn't vote on the increase at all. In fact, I'm almost proposing kind of a twofold. What if we were to propose the 10% increase, and looking at the budget that was provided, 10% on some of these really isn't even in my opinion, maybe just. And then we can take this year to truly understand some of the time commitments that may be undervalued on that spreadsheet. And we can possibly look to adjust those further next year, the ones that maybe are undersold on the spreadsheet for additional improvements.
Yeah, and if there's glaring things that stick out to you guys where you feel like we need to edit or update, we can do that at any point. It's just, I just wanted to bring it to our attention. I guess I don't have as much background knowledge as everybody does, or some people who do here. I just had noticed that in the specifics that I had asked, I had not seen an increase in 7 years. So I believe that there are definitely some different ones on here that could warrant and definitely warrant a higher stipend. And I'm open to listening to what you guys believe that is.
I'm wondering if is this something that we could compare to other school districts, K-8s, in the county, not necessarily KUSD, but the other school districts west of the I, and just kind of look and see what they are paying for stipends for their extracurriculars, things along that line.
I believe that's what was previously done on this sheet. And to Corey's point, this was supposed to have been looked at over the year of COVID. So that's why it got kind of pushed back. but I think it's a really good idea to look at it, see what the glaring, where the differences are, and then make changes as we can and use this year and really not so much document that the time, but like document the time. Like a lot of these things don't take a lot of these things take a lot of effort. And if you were going to be paying people for a stipended extracurricular, co-curricular assignment, they should be compensated fairly and equally, right? So can we?
Are you proposing the 10% increase plus looking at this to find, I guess, the holes that we missed with this 10% increase?
I think we should, for myself, I would like to wait until next month to make a decision, if that's okay. Sue and Mike aren't here, and Mike, I know, is very money conscious. He pulls at the purse strings like our old treasurer did. So I think it'd be really a good idea to have them here, and also just to get more back to take a look at this again. But I mean, 10% seems healthy, which is really great. And is it something that our budget will allow, that 10% increase? Perfect, awesome.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm glad we're having all the discussion, and I'm also glad that Mr. Koshel is here tonight. He helped me a lot with this, and also had already start comparing from some of the other different school districts. So I'm glad that he was here to listen to his new assignment that he has for next week.
Jack, did you say what the?
Yeah, so just to help with Mr. Musha, I know he mentioned that, not being here over the last couple of years and not being familiar with what the process was as far as figuring out what you guys would consider a fair stipend amount. The former business manager, I know the year of COVID, at the beginning of the year, was hoping to do some sort of time card system, electronic time card system. And I know there was difficulty getting that underway, getting that started. And when we spoke during in-service about it, we were going to get that rolling. And what some of the members of the faculty mentioned was, well, what about some of the coaches or some of the other extracurricular leaders who have already put time in? For example, softball was mentioned, and cross country and the preparation for that prior to our in-service time. Excuse me. And when the business manager considered that and some of the things that Jack had just mentioned, like there's a lot of other things that go into it, it just never ended up getting done. So there was never any time taken during that year. We have looked at a couple of other schools, and as far as comparing extracurricular stipend amounts, and the schools in particular that we looked at we're somewhat competitive with, if not just a little bit further behind. But in speaking with some of my colleagues in that, I think it would be a great thing for the board to consider looking at some of the specific extracurriculars, for example, drama. I know there's a lot of time that goes into that, and really just having that conversation. And as far as like the sports or the athletics, the coaching that goes into that, just trying to stay on pace, if not maybe a little bit better than some of the other districts in the county. So, but that's that was the plan to go along with this hourly, punch in and punch out. And it's very difficult to do when you factor in all of the different, even just going to the store to make some purchases. Well, should that be compensated hour time? It's not 2 hours worth of, an hour of a basketball game. It's the bus ride there and getting to school and getting the kids to Williams Bay and things like that. And then all of a sudden it's a 4 or 5 hour night, not just an hour for the game. So yeah, thank you for letting me speak on that.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. I think Holly has her hand raised.
No, I never took it down. I'm sorry, you guys. My apologies. It's down now.
All right. Any other questions?
So Jack, would you be able to look at the list and kind of isolate ones? I know Ashley has a lot of background. Maybe you could, use your team and try to figure out which isolated line items we could improve and on top of the 10% of everything, since our budget will allow it.
Yeah. So are you saying that the 10% should be there for all, and then look at specifics that could be?
I think that's fair.
As
Yeah.
I'm seeing head nods. Okay. I just want to make sure that
we
I'm
can bring it
clear
back for
before
next month.
I take it back to our team. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to, it doesn't require board approval to give the 10% raise?
I would rather not do that at this point and just come back with a new proposal next
Okay.
month if you guys are okay with that.
I can do that. Okay. Number 15, regular board meeting start time and meeting date. So it's been requested by another board member to change our meeting from every fourth Wednesday back to, I believe they used to be on the third Wednesday of each month. So they are requesting that we would consider that and possibly take action on that tonight. And then in talking to others, I would like to request that our meeting times be changed from 5:30 to 6 p.m. So my reason for going, starting a half an hour later is there's a couple of things. One, we do have board members on occasion who struggle to get here at 5:30. So I think that will help them. This also gives our staff and Tony and the tech team an opportunity to have a little more time to set up. They're not rushing. They're not kicking people out of the library. It's my understanding. It's like, hey, you got to go as, people are in here as they're trying to set up. So, and even tonight, the janitors were, about 20 minutes before the meeting start, they were in here, cleaning, sanitizing everything. So I think, in my opinion, it would be beneficial to start our meetings at 6, just to allow that extra time, and to move our board meetings from the fourth Wednesday to the third Wednesday. And as I looked at the upcoming calendar, if we were to keep the fourth Wednesday, we would have to most likely move our meeting in November, because that will be the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We would have to most likely move our meeting in December, because that is the Wednesday right before Christmas break. And then we would also have to move our meeting in March, because it would conflict with spring break. So and then I think there's, and then the one in February, there's actually no school on that Wednesday. So I don't know if that would make a difference for us or not. But so if we move it to the third Wednesday, there's very little conflicts. So
I appreciate all of that. I do think, though, we have to consider Jack's, if we do make a proposal to move it to the third Wednesday next month, still keeping the fourth Wednesday so we can meet with Nexus.
Right. So I would suggest that we do this for the month of September, not our August, just because August is so packed. We're probably going to have a special board meeting. We have Nexus coming in. We've got, you know, teacher in service. We're getting ready to go back to school. There's also the fair, which a lot of us are involved. I didn't forget the fair. All right. So there would be a lot. So moving it to the third Wednesday of starting next month, I don't think would help us very well. So, so I would suggest that we would start that in September.
I agree, and I know we brought this up at a previous board meeting too. It really conflicts with things. We had to shift a lot of meetings last year, so I think it's a really smart decision. So the only reason why it was moved to the fourth Wednesday of the month was at the request of our former business manager. It was very difficult for her to get all of the financial reports ready by the third Wednesday of the month. So that would be my question, would be to Jack and Susan, is if we switch it back to the third Wednesday of the month, is that going to make it difficult for you guys to get your reports ready in time?
We're getting more in a rhythm, Ibrahim and I, in the business office, and he actually has the cash report done. And he can have that done by the third week of the month. I can have the bills done at any point in time. So it's just the treasurer's report. And as long as we get the bank statements in on time and we're not inundated with other things like we have been, and the system doesn't shut down every 45 minutes. No, I think we should be okay.
Are there any other, any other concerns with anybody in here or that you're aware of, Jack? That
No, it's just my concern was more of with the fourth for Wednesday, to be honest, just because of all the things that you had mentioned earlier. Most holidays fall towards the end of the month, and things like that. So I think it's more feasible to have it the third Wednesday and then have to shift versus having it the fourth, because if I've heard Adam correctly, we'd have to shift 4 meetings already as it is if we would have it the fourth Wednesday. So I think it just makes more sense to have it the third.
all right. If we approve this, I have to change all my band concerts. So
No,
that's okay. I'm okay with that. So,
Well,
okay.
in that case.
No, it's easier for me to change my concert. It'll be easier. So, okay. Is there any other discussion? Any other concerns before we?
No, I'll make a motion.
I will make a motion. This was my idea. Come on, let me do this. I will make a motion to move our monthly regular board meetings from the fourth Wednesday of each month to the third Wednesday of each month with a start time of 6 p.m. I'm seeking a second.
starting in September.
Starting in September. Thank you.
Steph, did you want to second it?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. So roll call vote. Adam, aye. Stephanie,
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carried 3-0. All right. Number 16, the new number 16, budget revisions. So Jack, would you like, Susan, would you like to present that, please?
Okay, am I on? Yeah, okay. We're finishing out the 2020-21 school year. We've got the auditors coming in next week. Something that we need to do periodically throughout the year. And then again, before the end of the year, is to revise the budget to reflect the actual expenses and revenues that we've received. I will let you know right off the bat, there were quite a lot of revenues in the special education fund that were not budgeted for, almost $200,000, which in turn, with receiving those funds from the federal and state government, it lessens the amount of expenditures from the general fund, because we're already set to spend over almost $1 million transfer from the general funds to special ed. So that's actually cut $200,000 out of the budget by receiving those additional funds. So I've put a summary in there of the different things that I changed. I did not have to do a budget change for the capital projects fund of the $11 of interest we earned, but the auditors will ding you on everything that you're over budget. The food service fund, we were over budget not only in the revenues but the expenditures because of the summer seamless option. So that was a change that we knew was coming, and I knew that, and I mentioned it in February when we did the last budget revision. Debt service fund is a little bit different because we did the defeasance to pay debt off early and save the taxpayers a lot of money. So that's a revision we had to do. That was not projected on the original budget. So overall, instead of cutting into the fund balance, we're actually going to build the fund balance up on our budget wise at least $164,000. There was a lot of that basically has to do with special education. So the cuts, there were some type of cuts in special education, and we utilized a lot of the grants this year. I worked very carefully with Taya, trying to get those grants used up before they expire in September. So it looks really good, and as soon as that gets done, I will upload it to DPI, and hopefully we won't get dinged on the audit.
Thank you, Susan. What can you tell me again how much was going back into the fund balance?
It's about $164,000.
Okay, thank you.
Now, this is based on the budget figures. The actual revenues and expenditures are different. And I'll let you know that right away. It's very different. But we will be within the budget guidelines of the budget and revenue that gets passed tonight. The revenue and expenditures.
With this money going into our fund balance, what percentage is it at?
It will be at 28%. Which is extremely healthy. So when you ask me if our budget can handle a $3,000 hit, yeah, we're okay.
Okay.
That makes me so happy. I mean,
I was just saying it makes me really happy. We 2.5 years ago it was a different spot, and I'm so proud of our team. It's in the board. It's been a ride, but it's been great.
Well, the teachers kept saying to me, "Are you sure it's okay we spend this money? Because we were told not to spend money." And I said, "No, really, it's okay you spend this money." And I think Taya worked a lot with getting a lot of things done with the grants and Medicaid and getting those reimbursements going. So I a lot of credit goes to her and all the work she put into it. So thank you.
Okay. So I will make a motion to approve the budget revisions as presented by Susan. Can I get seeking a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call vote. Adam, aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Motion carried. Excuse me, 3-2-0. Sorry, I got my papers mixed up here. There it is. All right, so number 17, we will convene into closed session. The board will convene into closed session under Wisconsin Statute 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data on any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. And then so point A, administrative contracts. Good grief, I can't talk. So the time is now 7:20, and I will make a motion to move into closed session. Seeking a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Stephanie seconds. So roll call vote. Adam, aye. Stephanie,
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried 3-0. We will now go into closed session. Board members, please remember to log out of your Google Meet. Community members, this feed will stay live until the board moves back into open session. Okay. Time is now 7:49. I will make a motion to go back into open session, seeking a second.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Adam, aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried 3-0. There's no action to take, so I will now make a motion. The time is now 7:49 p.m. I will make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Seeking a second.
Second.
Okay, second by Corey. Any last discussion? Okay, so roll call vote. Adam, aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Motion carried 3-0. Thank you for attending tonight's board meeting. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our email addresses are listed under the board member website and scroll over under board members. Thank you, and everybody have a good night.